It's the Standard Pauper Show. It's a show about Standard Pauper. Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode. It's all about M15. That's right. We got some decks. I'm here with my good buddy Sam. Say hello, Sam.
Hello, everybody.
See, he's here. I don't just lie to you about these things.
That would be mean.
It would be because you're so popular.
Yes,
People
aren't
would
we all?
it would be an uprising. All right, so cut right to the chase. What we're going to talk about in this episode, first thing we're going to talk about are the top cards that we saw in the pre-release. Yes, I know pre-releases are over, but it's a good indication of how things are going to start shaping up. I'm going to go through mine, and then Sam's going to go through his list, but we'll talk about each of our picks just to see how they turn up, and you guys can agree or disagree in the comments. But like everybody knows, it is a solid, solid win. 6 mana doesn't mean a thing. That's right, it's triplicate spirits. With a convoke, put 3 spirit token creatures with flying on the battlefield. Yeah, this is strong. It is so strong. It's so strong that people are first picking it over rares. It's incredible. If your job is to win a draft, people are picking this. I also think it's going to be super huge in Standard Pauper as well. It reminds me a lot of Lingering Souls. I know it's not the same because it's uncommon, but Lingering Souls tore up as a matter of fact, in Block, Lingering Souls was banned, wasn't it?
In Innistrad block, yeah.
Innistrad, yeah. Couldn't even
hmm
play it in Block Constructed. That's crazy. Spectral Procession, another one. Lingering Souls put out 4, Spectral puts out 3 for only 3 mana. But the Convoke is such a strong player. And the fact that both of these uncommons are being compared to this just commons, pretty important. Same with Midnight Haunting. Again, this one's instant, which throws it into the mix, but all these spirit token generators are strong, strong cards. And the fact that this one can now see play in Standard Pauper, at the end, near the end, we're going to go over decks that we created. And I know for a fact, here's some spoilers, we both put triplicate spirits into our decks. Why? Because it's awesome.
It is an amazing card by far.
A special shout out to Raise the Alarm as well. Um, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say you agree with my with my first pick here for strong cards that we saw in the pre-release.
Yeah, I think as Ravnica and M14 rotate out, Triplicate Spirits is going to kind of define Standard Popper for a while. So, especially if there's going to be a horde theme in cons, I mean, that's just going to play right into it. So it's going to be awesome.
My
It'll be
hope,
awesome.
yeah, my hope in cons is that we get some sliver-like common lords. They don't necessarily have to be +1/+1, but if it was, like the sliver, the +0/+1, I know they don't like to do that anymore, but they did it with Armor Smith and they did it with Weaponsmith. If we could get some more of those type effects, I think I think we'll see some strong tribal or color tribal synergies. We can't really call it tribal if it's color.
No, you can't. But I mean, they could do a little bit of both. I mean, I think it's going to be closer to guilds, as I have that feeling, and
I see.
I think in that way it's going to be based around colors. But I mean, it's potato to potato. I think really. So
That's true. Okay. Let's go to my next card. I picked Borderland Marauder. This card is so super sweet. Whenever it attacks, it gets +2/+0. It's very similar to so many cards. The first one that everybody's going to be thinking of is Minotaur Skull Cleaver. It's a 2/2, but that one's for 3. This only casts for 2. Um, these two are going to play havoc on with the red decks because wow, there's so many. If it's blocking, there's so many 1 toughness creatures that have come out, and I'll go into that in a little while. Um, that it's strong just sitting there, but when you attack, it's a 3/2. if it's attacking alongside the Skull Cleaver, because imagine this: you cast this on 2, Skull Cleaver on 3, you're swinging in with 7 power on 3. And that's if you didn't play anything on 1.
That's and I mean against any sort of Durley deck, I mean that's pretty much just like
Yeah.
game. That's
Yeah,
so
that
close. It's so hard to
right.
recover from.
Yeah, that's a 3-turn clock.
Yeah.
Starting on turn 3. That's ridiculous. Another one that I like is very similar is Viashino First Blade. Gives +2/+2, so it's a 4/4, although the casting cost is a little more restrictive. And also the Sky Knight Legionnaire. Again, it's similar in the fact that it has haste, it has evasion, it's a flying 2/2, but still, these cards, all currently in standard, mind you, um, they all swing in and they're all pretty powerful. I just think that they're on that same level.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. I mean, the fact that the Marauder is on curve, and I mean, even
Mm-hmm.
this the 1/2 is relevant throughout a long game, even if you're not swinging with it a lot. So that's really cool. I like it. I think it's a well designed card. So
I do too. And the card that also I compare it to, but since it's uncommon, I didn't want to put it in this list since I had done so many uncommons earlier, but is that All-Tac Bloodseeker. I wish this was common, but I know it's just too too strong for it to be common. But this right here, and the reason this is such a and the reason I put it up here is because it's such a strong card because I saw it being enabled by this card, Forge Devils. What was happening is since there's so many 1 toughness creatures out there, that Forge Devils was coming on board on turn 3, and they were playing an all-tack on turn 3, or they played one on turn 2, and they're playing another one on turn 3, or however they were doing it. Um, Forge Devil was picking off small creatures and giving the all-tech Bloodseekers, making them 4/1 hasty first strikers. That's insane.
and I mean, I know I personally during the pre-release I was using lightning strikes to turn on my Bloodseeker. I mean, because I was like, remove the blocker, swing in for 4. That's
Right.
a
What?
thing of beauty. So
It's so great. Yeah, and Forge Devil, not only is it good just paired with that uncommon, but just look at all these 1 toughness creatures that came out in M15. I didn't even add any that were in um, the other blocks. This is just a few
I mean, you
from
just did
M15.
common. You
Yeah.
just did common one ones. There's a bunch of uncommon one ones, and there's
Mm-hmm.
a few rares that like are really susceptible to forge double tricks. So like, yeah, it's a really good card in the block in the core, and I think it's going to be great moving forward. I've like forge double. I mean, it from Innistrad forward, I think it's pretty solid. So
Yeah, I think if we're going to see a lot of tribal synergy, we're going to see a lot of lower toughness in this next block. Just
mhm.
my prediction. Just because you are being expected to pump it up somehow,
Yeah.
and that's
Um, And it seems like a couple of the themes that they've announced could go with that pretty good. So yeah, no, I
oh
think
yeah,
Forge Level's gonna get some time in the sun.
I think so too. Okay, now this is Sam's card he picked.
So in my pre-release that I did, the sealed, I had 3 Frostlinks,
Nice.
and it actually forced me into Grixis because I was gonna go Jund. And I was like, wait, I have to play with the kitties, and I compare it to the following cards. I compare it to Mana War because it is a tempo stick, and I love it. I compare it to I can't remember what my second card was.
The
Um,
Azorius
they're
Arrestor.
they're Western. It's interesting because Detain didn't really make a splash, not only in Standard Pauper, but really at all. And it's about to rotate out, and the Frostlinks basically just has Detain on it. But it just seems like it's what blue wants, and white doesn't really want to do that. White wants to beat, and Frostlinks wants to enable something to get in there, and it does a really good job at that. And then, of course, unsummon. Because really it's not bounce, but it's still that really like effective tempo boost. So I love the links. I think it's going to have some impact out there. I don't know if there's a deck for it yet, but I'm trying to come up with one. I love it. It's just really cool. Again, we don't get bounce on a stick anymore, but I'll take something that affects tempo like that. So
Right. Oops. Guess what I did? I screwed up. Here, hold on.
Brandon's clicking around.
I am. Go to slide. Top cards. Frostlink. There it is. Ta-da! I was just kidding.
Yay.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, I agree totally on Frostlinks. Um, Frostlinks to me is going to do a similar effect, though not beat in as well as the Frostburn Weird, because you used Weird as a blocker, sort of a threat to, I guess, against attacking, but this just goes ahead and prevents the attacking altogether. A lot like the Frost Titan. Um, yeah, that baby, it's a baby Frost Titan.
Yeah,
So it enables your other stuff, and actually a 2/2 with as many 1 toughness and 2 toughness creatures out there, it can trade with so many things. I think it stays relevant, especially in Standard Pauper.
absolutely.
All right, his next card was
Lightning Strike. And Lightning
Lightning
Strike,
Strike.
of course,
Hmm.
it's an amazing card. Effective removal. Probably, considering there's not a ton of removal at any rarity in the set, it's really good. And of course, I mean, it's already in Standard Pauper, and red decks love it. I would play red just to have that extra little reach and removal. Of course, I compared it to Doomblade, because same casting cost, and actually currently it's a little less restrictive than Doomblade, because it goes to the head as well as removing
Hmm.
creatures pretty much at will. There's very few creatures that it doesn't remove, just blow out of the game. I compared it, of course, to Lightning Bolt because you can't
Oh yeah.
give love to the sibling without loving the grandpa too. And then I compared it to
Searing.
Spearing Spear, which did not get a reprint because I couldn't have two different three
Right.
damage spells in the format at the same time.
Yeah, that would
Uh,
it would be crazy.
it would be over the top bananas. It would actually almost enable burn, and nobody wants that. And nobody wants that. So, but yeah, I had a couple of lightning strikes. I actually did a draft and drafted four,
Wow.
but then I didn't do very good. So, but that was not the lightning strike's fault. It was the rest of the deck. So I went right white red. You don't want to draft M15 and go white red white right now because they're the two most drafted colors.
Right.
So I
Because
had to fight for scraps.
especially now after the this GP in
Yeah.
Portland, where everybody was making red white or red based or white based sealed decks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just because both of the colors are really deep. They have amazingly good commons, and as Standard Pauper often is, it's an echo of limited. It really is where good effective limited decks, you can
Hmm.
make them even better in Standard Pauper, and boom, you define a format like that. So these are the cards really that do that. So
Oh
and
yeah.
Frostlinks, which I just love. So okay, and then my last card was Unmake the Graves. Shockingly
Yes.
effective.
Really.
Uh, it's an instant.
Yeah.
It punishes removal heavy decks, and you can cast it for less than five a whole bunch, especially playing dorky stuff in your first few turns. I got people at the pre-release, which was awesome. I cast it like three different times across the course of my four games,
Yeah.
and I made a guy rage at me with it, because he had buried two of my bombs. He had
Yeah.
killed them, and I just was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna make the graves." But
Wow.
um, the I don't think you're ever gonna cast it for zero, but it feels really good casting it for two or three at the end of your opponent's turn. So of course I compared it to the Daddy
Yep.
Raised Dead.
Raised dead.
Uh,
So awesome.
Perfect example of what that card does. I
Hmm.
compared it to Grim Harvest.
Hmm.
Not so much that it has that that recover ability, but
Right.
it's very effective,
Yeah. It
and that's
and
what Grim
the
Harvest represents.
exactly efficiency, especially with convoke, and if you can get the recover on the Grim Harvest, yeah, it's Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah. And then the last one I compared it to was Fawn of the Return, which is like the closest effect that we've gotten recently for Standard Pauper,
Hmm.
and very similar casting costs.
Yeah, this one
Um,
is, I guess, 6 overtime, whereas this one is 5 overtime. But that one you put on layaway. This one you can get for cheaper. It's
yeah,
yeah,
you can get for a lot cheaper. So both act at instant speed, but I like that gotcha from make the graves, and you don't really get that with the font.
yeah,
So, but I had some pretty good success with Unmake. And again, as Demiri Mill leaves the format, I think having that ability to go in there and get some stuff back is going to be a lot better. You're not going to have half of your deck in the graveyard here in 2 months. So
yeah. And also the what they I always do this. I always have something in mind. I can never think of the name. Um, the one where it removes all the creatures and you get 3 points of life per creature
yeah,
removed.
the stupid crypt incursion.
Yeah, Crypt Incursion.
Yeah, God, I
Yes.
can't wait for that card to leave.
Screw that card.
I mean, I'm gonna miss certain aspects of Return to Ravnica, or the Ravnica block. I'm gonna miss the guild gates, even though I don't really like the comes into play tap thing.
Ugh.
But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna miss Demiri Mill. I'm just not gonna miss it. I'm not gonna miss the one white enchantment, the ethereal armor.
Yeah.
Uh,
Ethereal Armor's that's an amazing card. He's modern play.
I mean,
That's crazy.
it's a great card, but the problem with Standard Pauper is you get you get less answer cards, and that's kind of the thing about the format is you have to create answer cards that they just don't give you because they put them at higher rarities now,
Yeah.
and so there's just less answers to hexproof. But hexproof seems to be dying here shortly because there's no hexproof commons in
Hmm.
M15. So
That is interesting. Along with things that yeah, like you're saying, it seems to be sort of a foreshadowing maybe because there's just not any common hexproof, and like Morrow says, if you want a theme, you want to put it at common so your theme is obvious. So maybe it's sort of a prelude. One other thing that we haven't seen in a very long time is black tokens. Thinking back, just recently unbanned was Bitter Blossom.
right,
Other
kind of
than
the king of it.
right, other than okay, Bitter Blossom, there's a few that make zombie tokens. Um, Especially my favorite zombie deck where I draw a bunch of lands and discard them to make 2/2 zombies. Zombie Infestation. I love
Woohoo!
that card.
It's amazing.
I'm I'm expecting to see black token creatures at common or more of them. We haven't seen a lot recently, but if they're going if it's a go big strategy, black's going to need some kind of token generator.
Well, I mean, they just got the wizard stockpile.
They did. There's
Discard a
another one.
zombie, 2/2 zombie, draw a card.
Yeah, but
I mean,
that's the thing I don't like about that one is that's discard a zombie, get a zombie. Now, if you're discarding blood gas, because I think those are zombies, right?
I believe Bloodgast is,
Yeah.
or the ghoul.
Oh, the one that comes you can cast from your graveyard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy's a zombie. I don't know. I think Bloodcast might be a vampire
Is it
because
okay?
it's from Zendikar
Zendikar.
block.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But the other one that you can cast from the graveyard.
yeah.
That is some crazy synergy right there, y'all.
That's really good. But I mean, even like Connolly Woods played the stock. He called it another stock list at
Hmm.
the big pro Magic thing a couple of weeks ago, and it was just green black all zombies, and like he stuck that on the second turn, and like a whole bunch of decks just have a hard time dealing with that. And
Oh yeah.
so I mean, I like that idea of them putting M15 towards some sort of tribal synergy, whether it delivers or whether it's actually a part. Because thinking back to like Onslaught block, it didn't really. It was tribal, but like the decks that came out of it were like Astral Slide, which didn't really have anything to do with travel.
Right.
Um, so, so yeah, but I mean, yeah, I had fun at the pre-release, especially since it was a free release.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
awesome, by the
no,
way. Thanks,
I mean
Wizards.
they really needed to like generate a little goodwill right after the switchover, and I think they did
Mm-hmm.
a really good job doing that. I think they kept people from quitting by giving away free product. Maybe not as many as they anticipated keeping, but I don't know. I think they accomplished one of their goals with that. So, and then
Yeah.
they pissed everybody off by taking away all the mod.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second. So they do two things in a row. First, they say, "Hey, everybody, remember that format that you like drafting so much with all the special rare Black Lotus and stuff? Yeah, we're not gonna do that anymore." And everybody goes, "Oh my God, gonna quit! OMG!" And then they go, "Oh, we're just kidding. We're bringing it back for another 2 months." Okay, that was one thing. And then, yeah, they go, "Hey, everybody, we're gonna get rid of those modern PTQs. Remember all those cards you bought? Yeah, screw you guys." But then it's, but then they just recently announced, "Oh, you guys were raging and upset about that. Hey, we're gonna bring back modern to the PTQ season starting in February."
I mean,
This, well, let me jump on a soapbox real quick because this is terrible marketing. I don't know who's in charge of their marketing right now, but
I don't know
slap
either.
them because it's like I can't remember the term. Is it positive punishment? It's
Ah,
everybody uses negative reinforcement way too much and it's incorrect. But I think this is. I should go back to my psychology books, but there's like positive punishment where they are punishing us until we tell them some secret word, and then they're giving us what we asked for. But the punishment is first. So they are
right.
first punishing their entire base. This is not just online that this affects. This affects every version of Magic playing. Is
Right.
is the PTQ season, and whoever's in charge of marketing and thinks this is a genius idea, this will not last. People don't like to be screwed with continuously.
I mean, the thing about it is like they spent the last like what 3 years trying to get modern built up and
Right.
regulating it and getting it into a. I don't think it's the healthiest format, but I think it's a lot more interesting than standard most of the time. And then for them to go, oh, by the way, next year standard only. We don't really like modern right now. But why? It's your format.
You
It's your pet format.
you
You've been
you
putting so much work
just
into it.
right. You just released Modern Masters.
Right, to get more of the cards that people want out there. To
You just put Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth in
and a,
the
a
set
core
that you
set.
just did. You just put the Chord of Calling in the core set.
You just reprinted Thoughtcast.
You just reprinted. Yeah, not Thoughtcast, Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize. You just reprinted
Thoughtseize
Thoughtseize.
and
I mean,
Mutavault.
and it's like you're doing these things to shore up the format. And I understand that Wizards wants formats that aren't 3 to 5 decks. They want more open formats than that. But to say standard is that format to go with is ridiculous because standard's not incredibly healthy right now. I mean, when you stop and you look at it, there's a few rogue decks and there's like rock paper scissors.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a strange decision, but I think they did it knowing, hey,
Oh yeah,
right now we can give them what they want and look better in the long run. But I mean, for people who are kind of paying attention, you're kind of at this point, I'm a little jaded by them taking and giving, especially like with the Vintage Masters thing, because they originally announced that all that 8/4s and the 4/3/2/2s would be available until cons came out,
yeah.
and then like a month later they were like, well, we're taking both of them away, and then they went, oh, but it's okay because we'll leave you with the 8/4s. So
Yeah, it's
at the end of the day, they are probably going, well, people are going to be happy they got the 8/4s, right?
right, and that's just it. They want us to be happy for their poor decisions.
For getting half of what?
Half of
we
what we were
should get.
promised. Yeah.
Exactly. Especially if something that I don't know if you can find the article anymore, but it was on the mothership about, yeah, we want vintage masters to have a longer run than modern masters.
Yes, they
We
said
want
that
more of the cards
specifically.
out there. So, and I don't
Yes.
know if it's hurt the format because honestly, I haven't played much Magic recently. I haven't really went in there and I haven't watched vintage matches. But I know the prices of all the Power Nine are still a fraction of what the paper costs are.
Oh,
So
not even a tenth.
no, and I mean, the fact that you can get a lot of it for the cost of a Black Lotus in paper is pretty cool still. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I think they're doing a lot of like backhanded marketing or backhanded like, oh, well, we're gonna take it away, but we're gonna give you a little back, and you're gonna be so satisfied by getting the scraps that you're not gonna complain. So
Right.
yeah,
But the strange thing is, what what's the point of what would be the point of removing Modern Masters, a format that is very expensive to play online? What's the point of removing that until Cons comes out? They first said they were going to have it until Cons came out, and then they're like, "Oh, we're going to remove it so that M15 will be played," which is
exactly.
fine, but people are still going to play M15 no matter what. And if Vintage Masters is a more expensive format that people are still playing like crazy, what what is gained
I
by removing it?
I mean, I played four Vintage Masters drafts.
Hmm.
Spent $100 because that's how much they cost. I won like 6 packs, not important, but for the first two, and
Hmm.
those were on the first day. I didn't actually play a match until like the third round because people are just queuing up, drafting, and then quitting. And I don't know if that's still going on, but I think they probably track that stuff.
Hmm.
And I don't think Wizards really likes formats that people don't actually play. They want people to crack the packs and play the format. And maybe they're like keeping an eye on that because
I
they
I
remove draft
I
formats like that all the time. They bring them back, they do them limited edition,
but
and
see,
maybe that's it.
what's crazy about that is, so what?
Right. I
If
mean,
if people
it's
are
your
still
money.
right, if still people are still spending the money, who gives a hot shit?
I mean, it's
Just keep
still
it up going. Yeah, take their money. Awesome. Good job.
right, but at the on the flip side of that is you want to create a good experience for the people that actually want to play. And maybe having it come back once a quarter like they do with Modern Masters, they bring it back every 2 to 3 months. Maybe it just, hey, jam these drafts in for the week that it's available. Get out there and have fun with the format that we spent so much time designing.
Hmm.
Even though I don't think they spent as much time on Vintage Masters, doesn't feel like it. Um, so I think with Modern Masters, it felt like Cube Draft, and then
Yeah.
Vintage Masters, it feels like constructing a really crappy deck. So, uh,
All right. Well, speaking of constructing crappy decks,
woohoo!
here, new brews for you to use. Eh?
Not
Clever?
bad.
Huh?
Very good.
Thank you. Anyway, Boros tokens. This is my deck. I like it. Starts off with 4 triplicate spirits, 4 selfless Cathar, 4 raise the alarm. That right there, to me, if I could play just 12 cards and some lands, that's what I'm doing. Just those 12 cards. The synergy there is really amazing because triplicate spirits use convoke from the raise the alarm, selfless Cathar pumps your entire team. Those 3 spells work so great together. Now let's look at the rest of the list. We have Hive Stirrings, and yes, I put all these as creatures, even though they're not technically creatures. So what? Seller of Songbirds, a card that I hated when it came out, but it's turned out to be pretty effective. Flurry of Horns. It's not just mono white, folks. Flurry of Horns, 2/3 hasters in this format, very effective. Supply Line Cranes, an in the air beater, and the reason I picked these cards, we'll get into the spells in just a minute because they're just spells and do what spells normally do. But all of these cards, if you look at it, Triplicate Spirits, 3 creatures. Raise the Alarm, 2 creatures for 1 card. Hive Stirrings, 2 creatures, 1 card. Cellar of Songbirds, again, 2 creatures, 1 card. Flurry of Horns, how many? 2 creatures for 1 card. You're getting multiple creatures on the ground for just a single card. Top decking any of these is awesome. Well, you hope.
You hope.
Yeah. So Selfless Cathar has synergy with all of this because you can sack it to pump your entire team. Ooh, bless you.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. And then Supply Line Cranes, when it comes out, you can put a 1/1 token or a 1/1 counter on any creature, even itself. And it itself is a 2/4 flyer, which is not to be trifled with.
Not at all.
And you can either make it a 3/5 if you need to, or pump up on your other spirits. It's pretty awesome. Now let's talk about the spells. Dynacharge. Pump 1, pump them all. Such a great spell. Same with Weapon Surge. I love the Overload. Pacifism to get stuff out of the way. Again, Fortify. Pumps the whole team. Same with Inspired Charge. Again, pumps the entire team. I believe that's the Inspired Charge pumps them all and doesn't distinguish between the white creatures, right? I hope that's right. Well, if I'm wrong, we'll find out. Anyway, land. I only put 2 guild gates for the tap. Evolving Wilds, only 2. To get, whether the mountains or the plains, and then 7 mountains, 10 plains. I think that's enough. The testing I went through, it was all just theoretical testing, but testing nonetheless. It ended up being pretty good. I always ended up with the right mana around about the right turn you needed. So I'm thinking 21 is enough. We'll see. I don't know what I'll take out to make that happen. Anyway, sideboard Electrickery to defeat against the mirror. Lightning Strike, just some more removal. Martial Glory. I have that one in there for removal heavy decks because it gives a +3 and +3. So if there's just a whole lot of removal going on, I can at least save one of my creatures and also pump, get in for some damage. Another Pacifism for a bunch of large beaters. Revoke Existence, because Revoke Existence is pretty darn good. Massive Raid. I was turned on to this card for just this effect. It does 1 damage to target player or creature, I believe, for every creature you have on the field. So if you did a Selfless Cathar, Raise the Alarm, Triplicate Spirits, that's 6. And if you can somehow then cast that at, before you attack with everything, that's a lot of damage going in on that turn. So I have 2, mainly because of the double red, and I think we can bring it in and it can be effective. And then Sanctified Charge, which I believe is the all white. It gives white. Well, it doesn't. It gives white cards first strike, but gives everything +2/+1.
Right.
So
One thing about the deck, I mean, it's except for the Selfless Cathar main deck and the Pacifism, it's all X for ones instead of being just 1 for ones. The Selfless Cathars, they have that interesting effect when you sacrifice them, but they're still 1 mana, drop a creature. But Triplicate Spirits is a 3 for 1, Raise the Alarms 2 for 1, Hive Spirits is 2 for 1, Solar Songbirds is probably going to be 2 for 1, Flurry of Horns is 2 for 1, and Supply Line Cranes is a 2 for 1. Even though the extra effect isn't really a whole card, it's the +1/+1 counter.
Right.
Dynacharge, Weapon Surge, Fortify, and Inspired Charge in this decks they're going to be X for ones because you're getting that effect across multiple creatures. And I mean, for any deck that isn't designed to counteract that type of value, it's going to be overwhelming. And that's really a good place to be in a format. Pretty much any format. Like anytime I go into a new format, I play the most aggressive deck I can come up with.
Right.
Even out of the sideboard, you have a few more 1 for ones here, but they're very specialized, and that's not bad. I mean, no, I think the deck looks like a really fresh take on white red, and the format definitely needs it. I could just see getting completely overwhelmed by a deck like this, and then not expect the massive raid out of the sideboard, and just like I'm not gonna. I'm at 14. I'm not gonna block those 4 tokens, and then just completely die off of a massive raid or something
Right.
on the board. So yeah,
I
no,
just,
I think it's a
yeah.
good.
My favorite thing about Massive Raid is it's like, since this is a bunch of 1/1s for the most part, it's like all the creatures, it's like an all creature fall of the hammer. It's like, yay, everybody fight. So it's pretty good, and I hope to use it to good effect. But yeah, again, I think it's more effective out of the sideboard because they're not going to think, if they save their counter spell for triplicate spirits, but then I come back and do this, they're like, oh my god,
Yeah,
still
I
got
mean,
took a lot of damage.
because even just off of 2 raise the alarms, it's still 4 damage. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
3 mana for 4 damage.
That ain't bad.
And then still have those 1/1s in play.
Yep.
So, I mean, that is like that concept of like lingering spirits being like that consistent source of damage,
Right.
that makes it better than it seems like it should be. And those tokens plus that reach that that raid gives you is just really really good. So I mean, I look forward to losing to decks that are like this moving forward. So
All right. Let's look at a hand. Let's see what the hand gives us. All right. This hand we have a mountain involving wilds, pretty good. Cathar. There's a lot of Cathars going on there. Pacifism, hive stirrings, and inspired charge. I don't like keeping a hand like this, but I don't think I could throw it away because right now I can cast 3 of the cards in my hand. So I'm thinking keeping this hand would be okay. I wish I just wish it had 3 lands, but if I throw away if only 21 lands, if I throw away every hand without 3 lands, I'm going to be starting at 6 or 5 a lot.
right, and you play that game with an aggressive deck because you want to have just enough lands.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the only blank I feel like you have here is probably the charge this early in the game.
Right, and if I mulliganed and came back with only this hand with a Mountain Evolving Wilds, Cathar, Pacifism, Hive Strings, I would keep it.
I would keep that.
So if that was my 6, yeah, I'm going to keep it. So
Yeah,
why not keep this as a 7?
yeah.
So let's see if we are rewarded or punished. All right, Fortify is the next card we get. Not bad. It's only 3 mana. Uh oh, Selfless Cathar. I'm not getting any mana. Sam, I'm scared, but it's only turn 2. There we go. Boros Guildgate. I'm feeling pretty good about myself at this point. Hive Stirrings. I like Hive Stirrings, but I'm a Sliver fan. Plains. Yep, I think we got there. Yeah, it's turn 5. And then Supply Line Cranes on turn 6 for your beater to come in at the end to help you out. I don't know. Might not be the greatest start of all time, but I'm feeling pretty good about the hand I kept.
I mean, I think it's completely fine. I think with that, you probably go a little more control and a little less like swarm, just because that's what the deck dictates. But I think this deck is kind of designed to you can go stall, play a bunch of tokens, stall into the late game, and then just start blowing up Cathars to just like completely screw with battle math and all of that good stuff. So no, I mean I think it's a good keep. By far, I mean I keep one landers and stuff.
Yeah.
So
The
especially with that many one casting cost
right.
spells.
My
So
only concern is that Hive Stirrings, they are colorless and not white. I wish they were white tokens, then it would work pretty well with the um, sanctified charge. But that's only a nice to have. It's not a have to have. But one other thing, see the supply line cranes? To me, that card is terrifying. You have a bunch of birds flying over to. Oh, they brought us swords. Oh my God, they're dropping swords on us.
it,
What?
sometimes I miss the good old days where that would have been like a crane that they used to build buildings because the artist would have no idea what the theme
Oh,
was.
yes.
Um,
You want me to?
but
Because clearly, if I'm delivering goods, they want a mechanical crane, right?
exactly, it's a
Not,
line.
not,
It's lines.
not birds dropping weapons onto the field. Oh my God! Please go away.
I mean, and you got two effective pump spells in the early hands. You
Yep.
got lots of token generation. I mean, even if you don't get to go super aggro with this type of draw, I think you still get to like the mid game, and from there, I think you kind of just win against a lot of decks. People one for winning you with removal, they're not going to be able to keep up.
Mm-mm.
I mean, they're going to have empty hands pretty quick. So,
Right, and
well,
and that was exactly the reason that I wanted to have so many cards that were at least gave me two creatures because yeah, one for one. So you just got rid of half a card.
I
Thanks.
mean, and especially with triple good spirits, you just got rid of a tiny fraction
All
of a.
right.
You just spent a whole spell on a 1/1 flyer. I mean, how do you feel about yourself now? Not good.
Yep.
So,
All right. Now we have for a new bruise you can use Bant Good Shiz.
yes, this is mine. So my kind of thought was to kind of mirror the idea of this getting a whole lot of value out there. So it starts kind of just as a trip. This is a typical type of Bant ramp deck. Elvish Mystic, Leaf Crown Dryad, because I do see triplicate spirits as being a thing. Coral Barrier, that, I mean, 2/4 for 3 mana. The Squid token is not totally irrelevant. I like the Frost Links, of course. Nessian Asp is a huge pain to deal with. Shaman of Spring, I wish that was Elvis Mystic, but what can you. The Elf, the 2 casting cost, draw a card, Elf.
Oh,
But
yeah. Yeah, Elvish
Elvish Visionary.
Elvish
Okay.
Visionary. There you
And
go.
then Siege Worm, because, I mean, 5/5 for less than 6 or 7. Pretty good to wrap things up. Sorceries, Triplicate Spirits. Instance, Raise the Alarm, and some Bounce in the Pill. Pill has good synergy with the Coral Barrier. Lets you
Mm-hmm.
take your Leaf Crown Dryad from the board and go, hey, you're going to be pants now. Frost Links, good synergy there. Shaman of Spring. I kind of tried to go really light on cards that were going to be rotating out here. I think I didn't play any main deck actually, or anything besides lands. Um, and then my lands are pretty typical for a 3-color deck. For Evolving Wilds, I'm so happy it's back. Even if it's the only fixing going forward, I think it still opens up to more. You're not going to, hopefully, not going to be forced to playing a monocolor deck in Standard Pauper unless you want to, which is probably smart. Um, and then 3 of each guild gate, 4 forests, 3 islands, 4 plains, 24 lands. Because this isn't really going to be balls out aggro, it's going to be more mid range. I mean, the possibility of dropping the Elvish Mystic into a Coral Barrier into an early game Siege Worm is out there, but it's probably not going to be that common, especially only rolling 2 of the worms. Sideboard, Netcaster Spider is amazing. Um, I know it's kind of weird, but I actually like it just as much as I like Deadly Recluse. Um, because, I mean, it does the most important thing that Recluse did, which is block flyers and take them out of the air. And it trades more than the Recluse. I mean, it survives combat more than Recluse does. Because it's going to take down bigger stuff, and it's a 1/1/3. So it's going to survive combat more often, so you're going to get more uses out of it a lot of the time. The Mizium skins are against high removable decks. 2 dispels for, again, removal if you have somebody who's actually playing counter spells. Voyage's End for a little more tempo. And this is a card that I think might actually slot into your sideboard somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Root defenses.
Yeah, Rootborn would probably work out pretty good to protect
Uh,
the swarm.
not only, I mean, not only it has populate.
Yep.
Yeah, so it gives you another 1/1 flyer. Yeah, no, that's kind of my thought. This is more mid rangey, and I think I like it. I mean, I haven't got to test it yet, but I did build it, so it's kind of all put together, ready to throw into the fire. So,
Yep. The only concern I have, but you know me in three colors,
yep,
it makes me nervous. But you love three colors and more. But
yep.
anyway, yeah, I think once this gets moving, like it'll be ridiculous. Everybody hates Nessie and Asp, and then
Oh,
you start throwing in triplicate spirits and Nessie and Asp. People are just gonna flip you the bird virtually.
yes,
All right, let's take a look at an opening hand. We got Simic Guildgate, Evolving Wilds, Peel from Reality, Leaf Crown Dryad, another Peel from Reality, Raise the Alarm, okay, and Nessie and Asp. So what you have, you can cast everything but the Asp right now with the
right,
cards you have, but you're not going to do it until turn three.
right. And I mean, I keep it because my goal really, I'm not worried about the first couple of turns. I would have liked that. I would have liked an elf here, but I didn't get it. So I'd keep that any day of the week, knowing that turn three I go raise, or if I'm looking down flyers, I go leaf down. I got a little bit of bounce if I need it, and I have something to move my game towards, and that's the ass coming down. So,
Yep.
yep.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Um, Knowing that you have one of your biggest creatures in hand right now is pretty handy with this. So cool. Let's see what cards we get next. Siege Worm. Wow,
Woo!
that's so huge. It's Convokey.
Yes.
So let's look. You know, with the Raise the Alarm, you're already down 2 mana on that.
Yes, and I have hypothetically I have both of my green sources in play.
Hmm?
Yeah,
That'd be
so
pretty cool.
yep,
Simic Guildgate. So there's another Guildgate right there for you.
yes,
Evolving Wilds. More ramp. Your crazy three-color dream is taking root.
yes.
Another forest.
Forest too.
So little,
Morlands.
yep. But now you have enough to hardcast the Asp if you wanted
Yes, I
to.
do, and that's a card that you have to hard cast.
Yeah, I
So.
guess so. There's no convoke on it.
No, there isn't.
And then here's Coral Barrier.
So
Loves
I'm gonna
loves me
island
some
walk you out with a
squids.
squid.
Hey, why not? Yeah, put
Yes.
the Crown Dryad, Leaf Crown Dryad on that
Oh
squid.
gosh, I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Squids with pants.
Yeah. Did you see that? The squid's just covered with leaves, sneaking through the
Excellent.
islands.
Haha.
And then you have some draw. Shaman of Spring.
Shaman and up. Yeah, no, I'm pretty satisfied. I mean, I think against an aggro deck, I probably want that coral barrier earlier, but I also think maybe game one is kind of a wash, and you kind of come back on game two and do better out of the board. And against that type of deck, that's what the tempo is in there for, the Voyage is in, and so on. But no, I like it. I think I think I'm gonna have fun playing it, even if it's not super successful. Um,
Right.
just like any other time I play three colors in a format that doesn't really support three colors. So,
Hey, what if we get the what were those called? Like the Jund land that was tapped but could tap for three, came in tapped, and then you had the Naya.
like the Arcade Sanctum in
Yeah,
those,
all those.
or the layers.
Oh God, I want layers so bad, but they'll never make layers common though.
No, I mean I don't know if they would make the three color lands common. Um, and I think, I mean, do you think that they would print something in the enemy set that echoes Guild Gates at common? I was thinking about that earlier in a quiet moment.
Oh yeah, I saw on Zerby's site he had an awesome He had an awesome idea about just the various, like what they could do to make three colored lands, but have them, you know, essentially what you have is a situation where you have some drawback or something must be shown. You have to do some sort of activity to have it come into play untapped, but the two extra colors also require some sort of payment. For example, it can come in and it can always produce white, but the it costs you something, or it's pain or whatever to do black or red. Um, it was pretty interesting. There's a lot of ideas out there. Who knows what development is it eventually going to end up with? But I think there's so much design space that they could use to make lands. I'm with you. I absolutely hate come into play tapped lands. I can't stand it. To me, it is the opposite of playing Magic, because you actively can't play Magic. When your lands are coming into play and tapped, you can't use them for the most part.
I mean, I think they do it to artificially slow the format down in a lot of ways because they go, hey, this format, if we don't do something, is going to be really fast. So let's slow it down by going, let's do some come into play tap stuff. And I hope they don't do that going into cons because we've really have went through it the last couple of years now, going all the way back to the tap lands and like M12. So I kind of hope they ease off on it. But that really all I think it just depends on the speed of the format. So hopefully we won't see it in cons. Hopefully they'll give us something new. So
All right.
yeah.
We'll see. All right. Well, that's kind of it for now. Let's talk a little bit about what else is happening. Sam's been working on the Silver Black League. His article just went up. That's when we're recording it. So, Sam, I'm going to talk a little bit about the league and where it sits.
Okay, so um, Silver Black League, week 7 currently is going to be the last week of the regular league. Week 8 is going to be the top 8. And that there's a couple reasons. The first reason is top 8 is so well defined. Right. Um,
What? I'm not in top 8? How dare
I,
you?
I wish more of more representatives of the site had made it to such a momentous place.
No.
But I think we're all very busy people. And there's some people out there like Avery 61 who went undefeated for the first 5 weeks. But really, he went undefeated straight through. But I ended up with 6 people, all with 27 points, effectively 5-1. So
Yeah.
the top 8 is very well defined, and we could go to 12 weeks, and I think it would still pretty much be the same people. And I think at this point everybody's enjoyed modern Silver Black, but I think really having a second league with a new format, I think that's going to bring some more people in, get some fresh blood in, and maybe keep people around just a little more steadily. Maybe something a little less fringe, easier to wrap your head around. Um, but I'm looking forward to whatever comes up. I think we'll start the next one probably second week of September. But no, I've had a lot of fun. I've learned quite a bit, and it's been kind of fun being trying to build a community on the site, and I think it's done a lot of good keeping people involved with the website because they come to check out this and they go, hey, Brennan's got a new article up, he's a funny guy from Texas, or they go, hey, Drinkard's talking about modern, let's peek our head in there, and I think that's really cool. Plus I've got to talk to a lot of really crazy people from all over the world, so really awesome on that. So yep.
That's pretty cool. Other side notes, I've been working on building proxy cards. I've been showing them off to Sam and Dan. That's about the extent of it. I may post them to the site at some point. I might do a supplemental and kind of just post the art out there. The thing I'm concerned with, it's one thing to make them myself and kind of make a little video of me cutting and pasting, but get into some sticky situations when you're putting someone else's art out there for viewing. Um, I want to make sure that if I pay the proper respect to the artist, because it's one thing for me to go and piece together and build with Legos. These people actually create beautiful pictures that I find and use, and I'm just essentially putting them in neat frames. Um, I think I do have a little bit of eye for you know basic design, but the artistic ability of some of these people is just so amazing. I want to make sure I give them proper credit, and there's already um, proxy sites out there that actually do contests and whatnot, and I'll post some links to those in the next video I do for it. Which also leads to the Pauper Cube, because what started me doing this is that I wanted to have. I based the Pauper Cube, or it is based on Moto, but I got it all in paper and it's all sleeved up. I just got a new computer today. I was not able to make videos because it kept cutting out sound. If you look at my last proxy video, the sound just goes out because my computer sucks. But I got a new one and it seems to be working fine. And so I'll make videos of all the different colors of the cube just so you can see it. And I will show you in each one of those where the proxies I made go, because in there, for example, I have Battle Screech. Battle Screech can only be bought in paper as uncommon, so I made my own common because I wanted it to look like a common. So things like that I did, and some cards I think just looked kind of stupid, so I redid them. No offense to those artists, but I think some of y'all in early sets just sort of phoned it in.
Yeah, before Onslaught, art was funky and erratic. Like sometimes I think Wizards was just happy to have artists
Right.
at that point,
Yeah.
and they had good artists, but they kept the good artists on like the good cards a lot of the time, and then they kind of went, okay, here, filler artists.
Right.
Here's some names of cards.
They
That's all they gave them.
didn't tell him what the cards did.
No, or here, this is something of something, and this is kind of the idea behind it, and they would just give them the name, and then you would end up with like a blob floating in the air. And
Right.
so,
I
no, I
mean,
mean,
they do a lot more now. They have meetings and they give them guidebooks and they set a tone for the set and they know what color scheme they need to work
yeah,
with. It's all very nice. Like for example, you look at the card Humility and then look at the card Shelter. Not too far apart when they were created, but the art is worlds apart. Seriously.
I have to
So
look up shelter because I'm trying to picture it in my head.
yeah, it's
I
it's
know the
it's the girl
art.
from it's the girl
No,
from it's the girl from Flashdance.
is it?
Yeah, look at it.
Like the girl from Flashdance.
It's awesome.
But I mean, just like they used to let Philip Folgio do art, and he's like a crazy comic book guy. And like just like all of his stuff sticks out like a sore thumb. If you want a good example, look up the card Browse. Um, he did that way back during Ice Age Block, and it was funky. And just like yeah, Shelter. Wow. I mean, and while I do think a lot of the art now kind of goes a little bit more towards like the American comic book spectrum,
Hmm.
I think overall it's stronger, more representative of what's going on in the cards, and stuff like the newest, the Chandra instant from M15, the card draw one that doesn't really work. It's awesome. It's just her goggles and like the
Oh
reflection
yeah,
of her flamey hair in the background.
yeah. That
Like,
gets my choice in M15 probably for best art. I love it
oh, mine's
because
still Siege Worm because
siege
it's a
worms.
gigantic wang.
It's a wiener. You like the
It is
wieners?
a big green wiener. Hey, something we didn't put on the list,
Yeah.
and it suddenly popped in. It popped in my brain. The Pauper Gauntlet. Um,
Oh yeah.
20 days away to submission as we sit here.
So and
So
that's for a classic Pauper. Go ahead and
it is.
start brewing and coming up with decks that you want to put in there. You can actually, even if it's not your deck, you can still request it and champion it.
Dan is desperately still looking for people to champion decks that he's submitted himself, and the last time I talked to him about it, he wanted 70, 80 decks to play this time.
Right. He's a madman when it comes to
Last
content
time,
production.
he like I remember watching because it was right after my son was born, and he was like, "Okay, I shouldn't play any more games," and then he proceeded to upload like 8 more videos that day.
Yeah.
So he wants to be able to just blow it out. And Brennan, I know when Dan gets determined to play a lot of Magic, he will bust it out. He had so many accounts that he went and did pre-releases with that it was insane.
Right.
That was the
He
funnest
did.
weekend, even though I only did one pre-release.
Yeah.
Just reading all of his results, watching his videos, it was awesome. So
If it gives you any perspective, he didn't even post. He didn't even make videos of most of his matches.
yeah,
It's insanity.
it was
Anyway,
insane. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that starting up. I championed a deck. I was gonna try to brew some stuff up, but time has just gotten away from me. But like Boros Kitty, I championed. I'm looking forward to it. I know some of the brewers have come back. I know Deluxequay hopefully he's going to do some stuff. JPS State Snake updated a few of his decks from the first season. So just really looking forward to Dan going out there and lighting a fire underneath the format that needs a little bit of blood going into it. So it's going to be awesome.
I think so too. All right. Well, that, I'm afraid, Sam, that concludes the broadcast day.
Yay.
Contact info, magicgatheringstrat.com. Go out there and visit YouTube, Magic Gathering Strat. Subscribe and like these videos. Come on.
I do.
It helps us. Me too. It helps me feel good about myself. I go out there and put a like on Sam's videos. He supposedly puts a like on my videos.
I do. I promise.
Awesome. Twitch TV, maybe one day. It's like a beautiful dream that we'll be back with the Twitch TV. But anyway, facebook.com/magicgatheringstrat. It's just more of a discussion area for just general thoughts, whereas the website has articles. Go ahead, you're already here. Like and subscribe. We know you want to, and it makes us feel good about ourselves. Well, thanks for watching, listening. I'm Brennan,
I'm Sam.
and everybody, have a good day.